introducing you to our amazing guest who was so kind to be here with us today. I will introduce you. By the way, if you're feeling like it, if you're feeling inspired, please come in on our Zoom. You will have that link right above this video. I will also post another link right below video so you can easily find it, okay? So please join us on Zoom if you want to ask Holly some questions after I ask her some questions, we'll go from there. So I see a lot of people joining here. Fantastic, loving that. And let me just double check that all technology is working. While you are joining, I would love for you to put in the comments, and also if you're watching live on Facebook, I would love for you to put in the comments what questions do you have for Holly, okay? We're not going to answer them right away, but I want us to keep a track of questions so we don't forget anything, and we're going to address every question that will be brought to our attention, okay? So we are going to do that. While we're doing that, let me just double check that all technology is working, that I can actually see myself inside the group here. That's important thing. Let's see. Yeah, I can see us. So fantastic. And I am going to put in the link for Zoom so everyone can join as well. So I'm going just to do that. Join us here. Okay. Wonderful. And just a reminder, this interview will stay in the free group for about 10 days because I want to give you guys to catch up on everything and everything else, but then I will move it into our Oracle Cards membership vault, okay? So we are going to make sure that you have all of the access to all the information and everything else that will stay in the groups, but the video itself will be moved into Oracle Cards membership vault. Awesome. So we're ready. Let me start with introducing you to Holly in the way of showing you the amazing video that she created for the Kickstarter. And then we'll open up to Holly to talk to her and questions and everything else. Okay, all ready? Awesome. Let's do it. So let's do that. Open the mic and let me know if you can hear a sound.
Hey there, I'm Holly. I'm the founder and the creator of the Feather on the Moon Tarot decks. As a licensed psychotherapist, I love seeing people grow and evolve, and I wanted to create a deck that inspired. Creating this deck has been a labor of love. It took 1.5 years full time, and here's a bit of a sneak peek around what you're going to get. I love tarot. I've been studying tarot for 30 years. It took me decades to learn the meaning of all 78 cards upright and reversed. I also love teaching, and so I've created an innovative new deck where it's the first of its kind to ever blend a traditional tarot with an oracle deck. The meaning on the card makes it perfect for beginners, but also for seasoned veterans who already know how to read and maybe don't want to rely on a guidebook while they're doing a reading. The meaning of the card is written on the card face itself as an oracle message. So it's super easy to learn, and you don't have to memorize anything. You can start doing readings right away, or you can use them like flashcards. By backing this deck, you're helping me bring my vision to life, and you're celebrating something that is focused on inclusivity and bringing a little bit of magic to the everyday. Funds that I receive go to printing, packaging, and shipping, and I really want to create a product that will meet my high standards. I hope that you'll help me.
Amazing, amazing. So let me just close the video and get us back. And without the further ado, I am going to introduce you to the one and only Holly. Oh, where are you? Okay, you just jumped because people are joining, and I was like, where are you? Here you are. Hello. Hello. She's coming to us from California, actually. And she's traveling, but she's so committed to be here with us and really answering all the questions and share her passions. Thank you for being here. I'm so grateful that you are in here. And can you please introduce yourself? Let us know a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Katya. Thank you for having me. As you can tell, this is my fake background. I'm in San Francisco. I'm actually in a hotel room. I've had a couple issues with Wi-Fi today. I was on another Zoom before this and it dropped a few times, so I'm doing this from my phone. So if for some reason I drop, it's because I'm far away and I'll just log back on, but it seems to be working okay as long as it's on my phone. I'm just excited, Katya. Thank you for having me. I took a bunch of notes around all the things that I've been doing. I can't wait to share the tips that I've learned with other people. This was definitely a trial by error, figure it out as I go, make a ton of mistakes. And so the fact that people are excited in this and excited for me and want to follow in those footsteps, I'm really happy to share everything I've learned.
Yeah, awesome. And we definitely will ask you a lot of questions, let you share and everything else. But first, I want to know, how did you come up with those ideas? Because it took you, in the video you said, it took you 1.5 years full time, but in total, it's a 2 year project of you creating those decks. So how did you come up with ideas to create this particular deck?
So, stumbling. Stumbling seems to be the way I roll into things. I first found tarot like as a teenager, 30 some odd years ago. I used to paint a lot. I have always said to my friends and family, one day I want to do a tarot deck. But my art is very impressionistic. I'm not good at realism. And a big problem that I felt I had with the tarot was that certainly decades ago, most of the tarot was humans. I don't paint humans, and also I like things to be cohesive. And so the dream stayed stagnant for decades because I didn't know how to paint 78 cards that would look good together. Like I knew I could figure out one painting, but having to do that so many times to have it be a cohesive deck, it didn't work. And then a few years ago, it was weird. It was like I was doing something in the kitchen. I think I was cooking dishes. And then all of a sudden, I feel like the thought got put into my head because I don't even feel like it came from me. I heard this little whisper that was like, you could just make the cards digitally. You could do digital art. And I was like, my gosh, that didn't occur to me. And so I went down the ADHD rabbit hole of learning how to do graphic design digitally, which led me to a YouTube degree in graphic arts on Canva. I made 100% of the cards on Canva, which I think is one of the reasons that it took me so long because I kept going back and reworking them. And the inspiration for the decks actually came from a different deck that I wanted to do, a psychology oracle states deck. But I knew that I had to tackle people. And so I worked backwards. I thought, okay, if I can just figure out the hardest deck I could ever create would be one based on the Rider Waite because the symbolism is so specific and because they include people. So then I thought, let's just see if I can figure out how to do a tarot card on Canva that looks like people, that looks like Rider Waite. And then along the way, I thought, gosh, it took me 30 years to learn all of these meanings for all of these cards. There has to be a better way. I was the reader that for years would read from the guidebook. And then I thought, why don't you just put the meaning on the card? Which seemed kind of paradigm shifting to me at the time. I started looking around at decks that have meanings on the cards, and I was really shocked to see that none of them have a cohesive meaning. Some will have like three words, some symbols, some planets and some elements, but it's still a lot of memorization and nothing that made the meaning come together, which led me down a different rabbit hole that suddenly I was creating the Starlight Tarot, and the whole focus became creating a deck that was easy to learn from, that could be used like a flashcard. Along the way, then I thought there might be people that really like the art that don't want the meaning on the deck. So then I made 2 decks. So it's been very stumbly. It was very intuitive. I have not had a business plan. Not a single thing has been planned out. I've done it along the way based on how I feel.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I often say, start your day with a question, how do you want to feel? So here is a proof for you that really acting on those nudges, intuitive nudges, is so important. And just listening to yourself, listening to your intuition, okay? For the sake of time, I really want to make sure that we are going to help you to share all of that you learned, right? Where are you right now with your Kickstarter? Is it like day 7, day 8, and how much are you raised so far?
This part has blown my mind. I'm on day 9 and I'm pushing, I think probably today or tomorrow, I'm guessing I'm going to pass $8,000.
Yay! So exciting, guys. Congratulations. That's incredible. And you actually were funded within 2.5 hours.
I was funded within 2.5 hours. I had a few advisors and some people that were helping me, and everyone said it's not going to happen, lower your expectations. But I just knew in my heart, I was like, no, I'm going to disregard your advice. We need to launch this thing. Thank you, Camille. I knew that there was magic that could happen if I really trusted my senses. So it takes a lot of money to print. I intentionally went in low because Kickstarter's a little bit funny. It's an all or nothing campaign. And so if I went in with the printing cost that I actually need and I was $1,000 short, you only get to keep your money if you keep your goal. I feel it's better to go in lower.
I love that. Yeah. So share with us the lessons because I know you shared a couple of with me, and just feel free. I know that you made a lot of notes and you told me you documented everything. So share your whole journey with your Kickstarter specifically. What did you learn on the way, and what do you think helped you to reach this goal? And now almost being at 8,000 and only day 9. And how many days is the campaign? Is it 14 days or 30 days?
21. Yeah, and
21.
that was quite specific to the timing. I'll get to that. It's all in the list. I thought maybe I could talk you through the list beginning to end and then see if there's any questions or things like that.
Awesome, fantastic. Yes, floor is yours.
The overarching lesson that I've learned, if I were to house the tarot cards and the Kickstarters under an umbrella, I would call that umbrella patience. I had no clue. And if 2.5 years ago, somebody would have told you this is you'll be working on this for 2 years, I don't know what I would have felt, but I think the reason I've been successful, one of the reasons I've been successful is because I kept reworking all the material, and I didn't stop until I felt it was right. So there are being 50 incarnations of the deck that's visible on Kickstarter, and if even one card bothered me, I would go back and recreate it until I felt I hit it, including the video that you saw. I smiled when you played it because I was like, yeah, I like my video. But I made that video so many times. I think it took me 2 months of making various different types of videos on Kickstarter or on Canva before I knew, okay, that's the one I want to use. So I'm going to run you through all the bullet points and then expand as I go. I thought Kickstarter was you spend 2 weeks building your campaign, you hit launch. It's definitely not. If you want to run a Kickstarter, start your Kickstarter campaign minimum 4 to 6 months before you actually launch it. It takes that much time, literally. It's not something you just throw together. I wanted to actually launch the Kickstarter in November of last year, and I consulted with some people that I found on Upwork and Fiverr. you will get a whole bunch of people offering to help you with your Kickstarter, and their fee structure is wildly different. Anything from like 10 to 20,000 US dollars, literally. I almost at one point hired a guy who wanted to charge $5,000. Of course, they all guarantee that they have results. While Googling him, trying to see if there were enough legitimate reviews to validate this company, I found somebody with a very similar name. I did hire them. They charged me $1,500. I do think it was worth it. I don't know that I would hire them again because I have an understanding now of what I'm doing, but there's an entire science around Kickstarter that I was clueless to, including how you present the information. You don't just throw it up there and it happens. The Kickstarter that you see, I started it in May. That was for the written stuff. May and June, I was going back and rewriting the narratives. I was working on the photos. So every photo that's up there, all those mock-ups, I made 100% of them on Canva when I learned I was not able to take good product shots. A thing to think about is if you don't have a printed prototype deck, you're going to have to learn how to create mock-ups that look like a real product. That's the route that I went. I did have a prototype deck, but creating a mock-up looked more beautiful than laying out the cards on my table and throwing down some flowers and some crystals. That's a really huge, I think that's the most important piece actually, is presentation. If it doesn't look like a Kickstarter campaign, if it doesn't look professional, if it doesn't look pretty, I don't feel like those campaigns are successful. Here are my notes. I spent a year roughly loosely researching it. I spent a lot of time looking at other tarot campaigns. How did they present the photos? What is their video like? How are they introducing the information? How are they writing it up? How many followers do they have? I also went down the YouTube University rabbit hole again, but I would say be careful there because a lot of the information that I found on Kickstarter, it gave me anxiety, actually. It was too complex. It made it sound too hard. It made it sound like I had to hire all these professionals that it actually made me feel really inadequate. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to write a campaign. And so I had to stop that and just start looking at other campaigns following the things that they were doing. I did go to Upwork and I did go to Fiverr, and I did learn there are people making a killing just helping people do Kickstarter campaigns. Definitely, you don't need to go that route. I think I'm proof that you don't have to go to that route. Don't wing it. I said that. Takes months to prepare. I said that. Oh, so a lot of people have talked about having a platform that your reach will go farther if you have a really big email distribution list, for instance. I think I am proof that doesn't always apply. I don't even have an email distribution list. I might have like 20 to 50 personal people that I can hire. So what I did do instead is you want to legitimize the business before you launch it. In February, I opened up Instagram pages for my tarot cards, and I did that obsessively. Every day I was making posts, TikTok, Instagram, Meta, Facebook, so that if anyone saw the cards and thought, what's this feather on the moon? They could then go to Instagram. I think I have 300 posts there now, so that it looks, not that it looks, so that something actually is growing. I feel it's a really important part. I did find a company I could work with for a fee. They had 19 successful Kickstarter campaigns with board games, and I have learned a lot from them. If there's any intimidation factor, I think it's best to find someone you can work with and show you the ropes. Katya, am I going too fast? No? Good? Okay. All of a sudden I was like, wow, I'm talking a lot. It's okay? Okay. Okay, so in May, I started all the mockups. I launched end of October. I did learn from all these advisors. People don't buy in July and August. I wouldn't have known that. People also don't buy in December. I didn't know that. My first plan last year was to launch in November so that people could buy the decks for Christmas. And all the advisors said, no, nobody buys December. Nobody definitely buys January. They're paying off Christmas. It's iffy in February. Statistically, the highest month to have a successful Kickstarter campaign is May. People also don't really buy in July and August. They're off doing things. So it's really just the spring and the fall that you can think about launching a campaign. Launch your campaign on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Monday. Yeah, again, weird computer science thing that all these advisors told me. Make sure your campaign ends on a Thursday or a Friday. I follow those rules. Also, because I'm astrologically minded, I followed the moon. So I think people in a tarot group, I'm pretty comfortable in saying I looked at when is the moon void, of course, when is a retrograde happening. I know you don't launch anything on a retrograde. What's happening with my personal planets? I'm a Capricorn, so there's this whole thing about Pluto coming out of Capricorn and people going through transformation and change. So I spiritually and astrologically on a soul level also thought about when I thought the universe would support me. And I actually think it worked. It took me until from May to August to build what, including the video on Canva. So I really didn't want to do a video. I'm not a videographer. All the advisors that hire a graphic designer, hire someone to do the video. I threw away all of that advice. I did it all on my own. I really liked my first video, which was me talking, and I'm a therapist, so I have this calm voice and I'm explaining the cards. I showed it to my advisors and they were like, we hate it. We want to go to sleep. There's no excitement. Your voice, Holly, like they were brutal. They're like, Holly, we're sorry, but your voice, it just made me want to have a nap. You totally lost me. So then I was like, okay. So therapy voice, calm, relaxing environment is apparently not good to sell tarot cards. My sister said you need some drama, you need some excitement. That's why I chose that violin piece by Vivaldi, because it's like a little bit dramatic, like it hypes you up. And so your video should be high vibe, not a spiritual aesthetic. The research said a minute or less. I also broke that. My video is 2.5 minutes because I felt like it was an important part along this whole journey. As much as I love Canva, the other best tip that I have is CapCut. I don't know if anyone's familiar with CapCut. It's free. I've used that for so much video editing, reel editing, all those cool, those cube features that you can see. And yeah, CapCut, it's great. I love CapCut. It's helped me so much. How I actually made the video, I did it when nobody was home, when my partner wasn't home, because I felt very self-conscious about it. I got one of those little tripods. I shot it on my phone. I had a loose script and I just babbled like a crazy person for like an hour and took so many different takes. And then I stop and talk to myself and think, this is an important piece. So I'd hit record again and I'd actually record myself giving that spiel 4, 5, 6 times. So in the end, I had, for that 2 minutes, I had almost, it was a lot. I want to say like 30 to 45 minutes of me just talking into my cell phone and recording it and then editing it down to get the best little snippets and then moving the snippets around. And I actually would do it that way again and plan for the extra time because I don't feel like my video is scripted. And when I tried to stay on with the script, it looked very formulaic and very awkward. I talked about building a social media presence, website. Spent a lot of time working on the website photos, colors, aesthetic. The cards actually were done a year ago. They took 2 years to build. They've been done for a year. I've been working on back-end stuff for launch. I also learned that the algorithm with Facebook is really flawed. Once I started watching other people's campaign, no disrespect to other creators, I don't mean this to be offensive, but I saw a lot of decks that were not performing well that were performing well that I didn't like. I didn't like the art, I didn't like the style, and I was like, why does this deck have like $60,000 of funding? Like, who are all these people buying this deck that I actually don't even think is that great? The advisors have told me that there's a lot of wealthy people on Kickstarter, and there's also some tendrils of famous people on Kickstarter. So some of the people that are launching campaigns getting huge dollar figures, they're famous people's kids, doctors, sons and nephews of people that are maybe a director in Hollywood, and so they're attached to somebody who has a huge sphere of influence where I would be considered a true indie person. So they said keep your expectations really low because the people that are doing really might actually be the son or daughter of a famous person. I thought, oh, like that would never have occurred to me at all, that some of the people that are on there are doing great, they're attached to someone of influence. Presentation is everything. Go simple. Watch any YouTube videos you can of creators who made YouTube videos about their Kickstarter experience. I watched a whole bunch that said, don't do stretch goals. And there were some creators that were like, I have PTSD from my Kickstarter. It really took off. I was like mailing packages in my basement for like months, trying to put all these stretch goals together, just go simple. Originally, I had all these cool ideas of things that I wanted to sell and add. But then after hearing how stressful it was, and I did have to stop and think, like, if it does go viral, some of these people have like $100,000 of funding. How many decks is that? Right? Like, how much work, how many boxes of tarot are actually coming to my house? And like, how am I going to get all these boxes out? So I really tried to make it clean, simple, beautiful, and to focus on aesthetics so that people felt like, ooh, I want that. I understand what they're doing. Trust yourself. If you feel like you have to go against all advice, go against all advice. This whole tarot journey, I've had to disregard almost everything anyone has ever told me. And every time I've been right. Yeah, so that has been a huge part of this journey for me. And really watch your pricing, because if you don't price your campaign, you get nothing. There's a drop-off place in the middle. The research shows that like your campaign people will fund it at the beginning and they will fund it at the end, but they will not fund it in the middle. So have a marketing plan. My marketing plan was like, blast my social media pages, try to have a really strong social media presence of the cards before I actually launched the cards. Try and get some traction going on TikTok. I was resistant to doing tarot readings on TikTok. Those tarot readings are pulling like 1,000 views a day. But I'm like, wow, that took like a minute of my time to get on there and like do a reading. I got some traction by getting asked to get on a late night TV talk show to discuss the tarot. Oh, and I just seeing the comment pop up. Yeah, Publishing Goblin, he's actually the ones that I looked at a lot. So there's a few, and we can talk about it more in like the Q&A. There's some people that are just doing Kickstarter campaigns once a year. What I did learn that advisors said, so you build your campaign, you tell Kickstarter you're ready. You have to notify them. They will then approve your campaign. And then you go into something that's called pre-launch. I didn't know any of this. Pre-launch is you can start marketing your campaign and people can notify me on launch. That starts growing a list. The advisors said 10% of the people notified on your list will buy. 90% fall away. So they wanted my notify me on launch list to be 3,500 names to have a $5,000 campaign. I was paying marketing ads for like 2 months. It trickled up to 100 and it just stopped. They tried telling me, they're like, you won't get it. Only 10% of these people buy. That's the algorithm, 10% buy. And I was like, that can't be. Launch it. Let's just see what happens. And so my campaign has done what they said that it wouldn't do, which actually brings me great joy. To do it again, what I've seen some of the really big tarot people do, as soon as this campaign is done, I'm going to start working on my second flat out. And I'm going to create it, and then I'm going to put it in pre-launch, and I probably will keep it in pre-launch for a year to try and get a really big revenue. I don't know if anyone on here follows Mari in the Sky. Katya, do you know Mari in the Sky? The Gentle Tarot? Sorry, my throat is so dry.
I've
It's like
heard of her. I will pull her up while you're talking. I will, which is a
Mari in the Sky. She does the Gentle Tarot. She started in 2020, so she inspires me so much. But when I think about it, I'm like, man, she's got a good marketing campaign. I think 10% of all of her stuff goes to saving the planet. That's something I'm looking at right now. Everybody wants to also feel good about the purchase. Like, oh, if I buy Holly's tarot deck, I'm also saving the whales. Not in a manipulative sense. I love that stuff too, right? But people can see that they're able to give back. So her platform talks a lot about mental health, nature, saving the planet. She donates 10%. She started in 2020. I think her first campaign was like 100,000 or something. Like her campaigns, I'm so grateful and thankful for my almost $8,000. Like it's blowing my mind. She has a campaign running right now, and within like 3 weeks, she got to like $100,000 again. There are people. There's another guy. I think his was called the Baroque Tarot. He's a medical student. He's on his fourth campaign. He's doing really well. There's people that just go from campaign to campaign. Publishing Goblin, I think she donated 20K. It's a good incentive to support influencers is almost the word that I want to use. So there's people doing really cool stuff with it. I'm trying to emulate what I'm doing off them. I think I might do something with water, like clean drinking water, or I probably would do something with animals or something with mental health because I'm a mental health therapist, but I want it to be intentional. Yeah, there's really inspirational people, and there's a whole movement of people going to Kickstarter that want to, I guess, evade the corporate world. That's my journey.
amazing. I was like listening intently. I wasn't taking notes because I have my AI taking notes for me, but I did take few of them. But what really stood out for me is that how, despite any advice that you were given, you were discerning what is going to work for you specifically. No matter how many strategies you were presented, You would discern and really touching into your intuition and feeling what is that is going to work with me specifically. And despite your people saying that this campaign is not going to fund because you only had 160 people in that list that they wanted to be 3,500, look, you're at almost $8,000 right now.
Yeah. And I would add to that a willingness to spend money to make money, because I see it like growing a really great fire or creating a really big foundation. Like I had to put in money to get to this point with Meta ads, Facebook ads. The guy that's helping me with marketing, the company, their name is Hive Interactive. They were really great. All those things, because I knew that if I got attached to the price tag, it takes this much to print, and I was someone who really wanted to see my cards in print, and it was really important to me also that they had high spec, so that the cost that I need to print would have come way down if I wasn't insistent that they include foiled edges and gold foiling. But to me that was really important. Esoterically, one of the reasons I think I've been successful is because my motivation hasn't been money. Like like abundance and prosperity is a mindset. If I would have just been focused on making up a figure, I need 15,000 to print, and so I need 15,000 for my campaign, I don't think I would have got the result that I got. My values and my vision has been something different than price tags. How much of that 8,000 is actually mine after paying marketing and blibbity blah, and how much will the tarot cards actually cost? I don't actually know. I don't know how much I paid in marketing to this point, the last 2 months, because to me it doesn't matter. I know that I'm in the plus, but I think sometimes we can get in our own way, and launching this thing will bring dividends in the future that are immeasurable. And I personally, from my heart, I feel like it's an important thing to add.
Oh, I just wanted to say, if you want to take something out of this call and you want to forget everything else, take this. And it's interesting because we had another call today in the group, and we talked about definition of success and really detaching your success definition from money. If you are attaching your success definition to money, you already lost. And that is what she said. She said, my value, I'm looking at because I'm making notes, my values and my vision are not attached to the amount of dollar I will receive for that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so important. When we attach our success to the money, then we get attached to the outcome. And now we're chasing something. And what happens when we chase something, that something is going away. It's like dating someone in high school. Is it better to play hard to get or not? It's the same way, right? Uh, Thank you. I'll pay you later for saying that. I'm kidding. Okay, we didn't plan it, but it couldn't be better positioning this again. If you want to take anything out of this call, it's take this, because this and how Holly followed her intuition through the whole journey. When it came to designing her cards, when it's listening to when she was ready to design digitally, when listening that she wants to have the foil and that's how she wants to present her product, and she's going to stick with that by listening to her intuition and not really saying, okay, we'll wait till we'll have more people. No, I'm going to run it, and look what she's doing again. And now she's going to prepare to run it again. That's how you do it. That's how you get it there. Thank you so much. It's so amazing. Guys, please open up for anything else, Holly, before we start questions.
I think hearing you speak out loud, I think I would add, Katya, that like my focus was beauty and love. I wanted a beautiful deck in people's hands that they were head over heels in love with. And I wanted something that would facilitate people new to tarot actually loving tarot. I was way more focused on the goal. Not once have I really stopped to think about the price tag or getting rich being a tarot artist, although I know that people do. That makes sense.
Yeah, your goal was on a transformation. That's what we always talk about. Your
Yeah.
transformation was beauty and love.
Beauty and love. Yep. And I
Yeah.
have been absolutely uncompromising, which I think like stubborn like a dog with a bone. Like people have said, well, why don't you just like Tibla? And I'm like, no, because it doesn't fit with the picture that I have with it. If you are somebody that is uncompromising with what you want to create, which is ironic because I'm probably one of the most flexible people I've ever met. Sometimes I have difficulty like time choosing what to have for dinner because I'm like, all three are great choices. If you are uncompromising with your vision, know in advance it will take you a long time. And so nobody told me if you're going to be uncompromising with your vision, you also need to be very patient. I think it's like growing a huge oak tree versus growing a carrot. Like one takes a long time. I don't want to grow carrots. I want my cards to be this huge oak tree that stands the test of time. And so it's not a McDonald's Express tarot deck. It's taken a really long time to cook.
Yeah, it's a Michelin star. Yeah,
Yeah. And
absolutely.
they're so pretty. They're so pretty. Also, too, I wish that somebody had told me this. Prototype decks. Oh my gosh. You can get, you want to talk printers, like, I talk to them all. You can get cheap prototype decks from drive through cards, make playing cards, printerstudio.ca. There's so many people that can take your files, knock off a deck without the specs. But I wanted an actual prototype deck before they went to market, and I spent all this money manufacturing these things. I wanted to know what the finished product was actually. Patience. There's the card of patience, right? The prototype decks are not cheap. I just spent 4,000 US dollars in two prototype decks. And that shocked me because in the professional printing world, if they do what's called offset printing, it's complicated and I won't get into, but they have to set up plates to actually print your cards. Just setting up plates took 2 weeks. Budget before you're even at that point. If this is important to you, it was important to me. It might not be important to everybody. It was important to me. Ironically, I didn't use any of my decks for product shots because I realized I could make them more beautiful on Canvas. Not a single photo in my campaign is real. They're all made on Canva as a
Let
mock-up.
me let me share your photos with them so they can see it. Okay, so let me just do that.
Again,
And
too, trial and error. Like I could talk you through how I did them, but I think it's like an ADHD thing to do them. I had to do them like 20 different times before I figured out how I'm actually doing it. And I think they look real. I don't think anyone would look at those and know that those are not real cards.
yeah, they look beautiful, absolutely beautiful, yes. And so I just wanted to share because you've done such an incredible job with everything. Everything was done intentionally. You were not in a rush. You were not attached to the outcome. You really were focusing on that, like you said, a transformation for your client and your mission to bring beauty and love into their hands, and so they can start loving tarot. So, and that's why it's so successful too, right? So,
And
there's
make
a
it
lot of,
fun.
yeah,
Like I
make
think
it fun.
I think I recreated things so many times because I came at it with the energy of play. And so I would just keep recreating the wheel. And then I'm like, oh, that works. Like I would find some like those ones. I started liking the mock-ups on the hardwood. And then I went through a series of like, creating 50 different mock-ups on hardwoods. Those I made quite easily, actually. I'm sure people know something called flat lay, or maybe they don't. Sometimes it's called flat lay or top view, which is you can get a photo flat looking down or top view, and then I would use in Canva the frame where you can like, upload a file, and I would round the corners, and then I would shade it so it looked like there was a shadow, so it looked really real. And once you figure out how to do that, that could be shown to you in like 10 minutes, then really it's just play. And I enjoy the play. It's very relaxing for me to be in my bed late at night on my phone. The world is quiet. I'm like scrolling through flat lay pictures and like, how does it look if I put a little candle? And how does it look if I put a crystal? I find it actually very calming for my nervous system. So create 100 and pick your 20 favorite, or find a style you really like. And then I would try to get more photos that match that style. I'm not a peach person, but in the end, if you look at my campaign, like most of them are like very peachy, like they're like peach colors with like white candles, and like I don't even know where that came from. Peach isn't even really a color that I like, but they hang together. When they didn't hang together, my campaign looked really fractured, like it looked fragmented, like it was done by different people. And so really focus hard on cohesion.
That's beautiful. And we do have some training on how to create flat lays actually in the journey. So you can even do that. You can utilize it as well, right? But that's beautiful. Yes. So questions. Ladies, any questions? Open up or put it in the comments. I was keeping an eye on comments. I don't see any questions yet. Yeah, go ahead. Nobody? No questions?
Yeah.
What Holly was mentioning in regards to prototype, Ralph China, the one that we're working with right now, he does prototypes, and I think he's at about $220, $250. So they're not as high cost. Now, I don't know if that's with foil or not. So I know that might not be as is it foil or not. Okay. Lucy, great question. Yeah, I'll let Holly talk about that. What did you mean by funding? What does it mean that campaign been funded?
Kickstarter's interesting. It's a place for inventors and creatives to launch their product before they take it to market and distribute it to the world. There's a lot of people that you're basically, when you're what's called a backer, you're believing in certain creators or influencers. Like, I really like the books that this artist make, or I really like this company that makes all these board games. So you go onto this platform, like Facebook or Instagram is a platform, and there's all these people with money, influence, power, or people that just love creativity that are already part of that community, and you present to them your campaigns. For a tarot deck creator, my campaign is, look at this beautiful deck I've worked so hard for. You can buy your tarot deck in advance, and that's funding the campaign. And it's an agreement that once the decks are mass produced, I will then email to the backers whatever it is that they bought. It's giving chance for people to buy a product before it comes to market. There's a whole other theology that didn't occur to me until I started going down this rabbit hole of talking to advisors. The theology is that we can sometimes be very emotionally invested in our own project, and crowdfunding platforms, they're a really great way to canvas, engage. People are actually interested in what you made. And when I realized that, I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty important. Before I get this big loan to print 2,000 decks, and I have my basement filled with tarot cards, only to learn people don't actually want my tarot decks because I'm just emotionally attached to them, it allows you to gauge if there's interest from the market. Kickstarter, whatever amount you ask for as a goal, you only get to keep that money if you hit your goal and go past it. I should also add, it's important to know Kickstarter takes 5% of whatever it is that you raise.
Yeah.
Did I answer it succinctly?
Yeah, you did, and I'll give it as an example, so put it in a context. So Holly's goal was, I think it was 2,000 or 2,500. What was your goal?
It was 5, but they didn't want me to launch because they wanted me to have 3,500 followers. So I lowered it to 2 because I knew just with my friends and family I could hit 2.
Yeah.
So, and I was way more right than I knew because in that 2.5 hours of me hitting my goal, none of it was friends and family. I don't even know where they were coming from. I think they were like the tarot community on Kickstarter. I launched it. I went to refresh it. I had a plan with my sister, my boyfriend, my other credit card, my other sister. All of us were going to fund the campaign in a couple of days if nobody was buying it. So I had like siblings ready to put their own money down and then I was going to send it to them. So I went to recirculate it to say to my siblings, like, okay, I'm live, go buy a deck. I want to get traction to go viral. By the time I had launched, refreshed the screen, I'd made a sale. And I was like, what? What? I'm like, wrote my family, like, oh my God, somebody bought as soon as I launched. And then I looked again and it was like 250, 3, 5. And it just, and within like 2 hours, I was like sobbing, like tears of joy because this plan I had, I don't even know who was buying them. They
Yeah.
just immediately started selling.
Yeah, and it's that
So
power of really putting your product, like if we put it in different perspective, power of putting your offer, your product in front of the right buyers, right? So Kickstarter has already, there's a lot of people who love purchasing, who love supporting artists, who love supporting different projects, specific projects. So they already there. They have the whole audience for the Kickstarter who are already willing to buy. And that's incredible. Now you have all of those people where you can follow up. And just to again reiterate, if you don't meet your goal, you don't get funded. The money is returned to those people who are backing you. So if they, let's say your goal is 2,000 and you did 1,999, well, in this case, you will make sure you'll back it up. But I'm just giving you an example. If you did not meet that goal, that funds just distributed back to the backers. Now, I don't know if there is any fee that Kickstarter takes from that if it's not funded, so I'm not sure.
they fund you when the campaign is over. So you sign up and you put in your credit card details, but they will only charge the credit card, I think, on like November 22nd. They won't actually charge it before that.
Okay.
But there's some really interesting research. I don't really know what to call it. Tarot has been kicking butt on Kickstarter since the pandemic. Tarot card artistry is actually new to Kickstarter, and there's a ton now. Like on any different time, there's like 10 different tarot campaigns happening on Kickstarter. So I'm not the only I'm not the only tarot artist right now on Kickstarter. There are other campaigns, and so something weird happened with the pandemic. I think because everyone was in their house, people weren't shopping, and Oracle decks, yep. It used to be like gadgets, technology, board games, I think once in a while books, but then the tarot card world, which I think, and Oracle and Lenormand, which all of it I think is about to kick off, they started bringing their creations to Kickstarter, and I feel like Kickstarter now, the deck hold in Kickstarter is huge. And actually it's growing. Like I saw some stuff on YouTube. I think Tarot and Oracle are about to boom. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, your late husband, Valerie. I'm sorry for your husband. Yeah, it changed. The pandemic really changed the face of the world, I think. And I'm not going to go there, but I am going to go there because I already just said I'm not going to go there, and I'm going there. So it's like, I am in San Francisco right now. It was the election on Tuesday. Things are crazy everywhere. And I think we're all looking for something. And decks are as much art as they are other things. And so I think there's more people staying home, turning to spirituality, maybe doing some online shopping, buying things to help them make sense of themselves, buying things to help them make sense of the world, not maybe wanting to go out to the streets and the stores and the public. And also, I think Kickstarter is a really great choice because it's grassroots and people are turning a bit anti-corporation, anti-1%. At one point, I was like, maybe I want to publish my decks. Maybe I want to get them, like, how do I get them to go worldwide? But then when I realized you lose so much, you lose your copyright. And I thought, no, I really want to be an indie creator. And I think more people are, choosing the independent coffee shop over Starbucks because we need change. There's like unrest everywhere. And Kickstarter, I think, is a part of that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? Take advantage when Holly is here. I know we're almost at an hour and I want to respect her time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Valerie said you have much less control when you go to a big publisher. I've seen Harper and Rock, so many indie decks. Yes, 100%. Yes. And do it like what Holly's doing. I know a lot of people asking me why I'm not printing my deck yet. There's a reason, right? So I'm intentional. Right, so I do have my prototype, but there is a reason why I'm not doing things I'm not doing and why I'm doing the way that I am. So it's not about rushing into it. It's really feeling into all of that energy and what is right with you and aligning with it, right? So yeah. Sally said, don't know enough to ask questions and want to thank you, Holly, for sharing all this. Yeah, thank you, Holly. Yeah, so if you don't have a question, I have a question for all of you. Out of all this information that you heard while we talked and with Holly, what's your biggest takeaway and what are you going to do? What's your next step? Are you planning to do Kickstarter or are you going to still research it? Give me that. Give me like, what's your biggest takeaway and what is your biggest and next step kind of when it comes to developing your deck?
I just put a deck on there that I'm pretty sure was mostly created with Midjourney. I think it's called it's like the Dark Witch or something like that. Today might be the last day of the campaign. It's interesting too, if you click on my name, you can see, thank you, Valerie. My rebel part is like power to the people. Stick to the man. Find a different way. There's been a few Midjourney decks that did great. The Kickstarter really intrigued me a year ago. I saw someone do a deck that was all Midjourney art, and they made came up on my Instagram right away. They were like $80,000 to $90,000.
What was the name you said? Dark
Yeah, it's
Muse?
called like the Dark.
Is
So
it
let
Dark
me
Muse?
open. I don't think it's the Dark Muse.
Okay.
Her campaign. So I'm opening Kickstarter right now. And if I go to my name, I have to move you for a sec. Witch keys I just bought. So I've started, that was the other thing I did, is I started actually buying tarot decks, and I actually wrote them off on my accountant as like prototypes, but I started buying other decks to see, and they're so cohesive that I'm like, I think that's AI. I think there's elements there of AI. And then I went through her FAQs, and she does say on there, yeah, I'm a graphic designer. And yes, I did use Midjourney, but then I incorporated it, which I think she's incorporated it with Adobe or with Canva. So everything is changing. Everything is changing. Like this campaign that did really well and got like almost $100,000. Their entire thing was Midjourney, and they were open about saying that it took them a month. I'm like, wow, it took me 2 years to do the art. I could have done it in a month. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, that looks beautiful. definitely has elements of Midjourney, you can tell, but it also has some elements that she done some overlays and some mixed media here. So it's a great cohesive deck for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It looks great. I can't wait to see how it looks in print. I've had 2 more printers reach out to me today that I'm now liaising with. The amount of printers, Katya, that have contacted me from Asia and said, like, we'll print it, give us the opportunity to quote your deck. So I'm going to explore that today too. I'm sure I'll have a lot more information to share with you later.
Yeah, awesome. So let's see what we have some takeaways here. Valerie said just that Holly was successful by breaking all the rules, and that is not an instant process. Love that. Sally said, do your research and follow your intuition. Valerie said one of the first Midjourney decks was by Tara teacher Marcus Katz from Great Britain. And when it was really funky, yeah, it was one funky a lot of times. Marilyn, I wasn't sure about Kickstarter before, but I'm more interested in considering it than I was before, and loved the heads up on starting the campaign early, even a month or a year before to build the list. Actually, that was one of my takeaways, and I have this question for Holly in a moment. And Camille says, I appreciate, Holly, that you shared doing behind the scenes website, build followers before launching, establishing presence. Appreciate that your plans were totally dependent on Kickstarter. Not appreciate that your plans were not totally dependent. Yeah. So I actually do have this question, and thank you, Marilyn, for putting it in. So when you said that you can start pre-launch and keep it for a year or 3 months, so does it mean that you can actually start it, but you never need to, you can just build the audience while you're doing it? And okay, and if you're doing that, do they get on your email list or Kickstarter keeps all of that information?
Correct. They were not on my email list, but I was able to go back and see, oh, 40 followers, 50 followers, 100 followers.
Got
And
it.
I put some money into Facebook ads during that time. I don't know if anyone ever saw the sponsored ad come up. You have to have enough of a sketched out plan that Kickstarter understands what the project will be about. I stayed in pre-launch for 2 months. In the future, I'll go in pre-launch probably for 6 months, I'm thinking would be smart. I think I have access to all their emails after. But again, this was I was oblivious to the fact that it takes a good 3-4 months to even build a Kickstarter campaign. And then you might have to you should stay in pre-launch for a while so that people know that it's there. That's the point of pre-launch, is that you can start gaining a following. So you could, Katja, start working on your campaign now, and you could launch 2025 October. And it gives you a year to build something really beautiful. I feel like I worked on it like full time, frantically, all of May, all of June, all of July, all of August. By September 1st, I was like, okay, let's go, I'm done. And they were like, no, you have to stay in pre-launch. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, that memo I didn't understand that. And so I stayed in pre-launch for 2 months, and I took myself out of pre-launch because I wasn't gaining enough traction. I didn't want to sit there for 2 years until I had 3,000 followers.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thank you, because I wasn't sure. That's the one part I wasn't sure how it works with them. And it totally makes sense. So what you build in followers who are going to be following your project. So when you launch it, they will be notified, and that makes sense to do it that way. Thank you.
There was one other thing about my dates that I think is worth mentioning. I knew everyone said be done by December. I launched in between Prime Days and Black Friday. People don't buy on Kickstarter in Black Friday. Because they're all rushing off to the store to get the super solid sales. So September, part of October, June, May, April, March, you really only have 4, 5, 6 months in which you can theoretically run a successful campaign.
Yeah, that's amazing. Amazing information. Thank you for all this note. Thank you for being here while you're traveling. And thank you for generously really sharing all of the ins and outs and everything else, right? So grateful for you for being here and being part of our amazing community too. I can't wait till it grows. So you have how many? So it's day 9. So you still have a lot of days left. Definitely, what I would recommend, just from my point of view for you, make a post every day in this group now with a new mock-up because it will allow us, the one who is
Okay.
inspiring, to see all of those beautiful mock-ups. It will allow us to also help you to bring the engagement here, bring more visibility for that as well. Also, as you're sharing on your personal Facebook, please let me know and I will share on my personal Facebook as well. So I'm in the business, so we can share you more.
Which group? Because I think I'm in 3 of yours: OCM, Certified Debt Creator, Soulful AI Creatives. Is that the one you want me to make a post in?
The one, no, in the free one where we're right now, which is Oracle Cards Club, I'm going to put link for you right now. Okay?
Oracle Cards Club. Okay.
Yeah, Oracle Cards Club. Yeah. Mhm.
I'm a generous soul. I believe we should all be helping each other. Like if people can learn from my crazy wild ride that I went on these last few years figuring things out, it's like I believe we all can be successful. There's no competition on success. And if it helps people, go for it.
Yeah, and I hope you will be part of our community deck too, because in January we're actually starting on a community project where everyone who wants to participate will contribute one card and we'll discuss how it will be. If you want to design it yourself, if you want my help to design, we do the combination of it. But if you want to be part of the community deck, I would love for all of us to be and create this beautiful deck with all different arts and everything and transformation. I just love it.
Thank
Yay!
you, Tasha.
Thank you so much again. And Valerie said it's not pie, there is plenty for all. Yes, exactly. There's plenty of clients, there is plenty of buyers for everyone. And when you come with the right mindset and energy, focusing on transformation, this is how you found me, a lot of you, with me talking to you about on day 1 where you all wanted to be designing in mid-journey. And I said, hold off, let's look at client journey. Let's look at the transformation you want to create, right? So that's exactly proof of why we want to do that. Okay, awesome. Love you guys,
Thank
appreciate you. Thank you so much again, Holly. Thank you so much for everyone who joined us. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.